Rajani Ramanathan, Senior Vice President, Software Engineering, one of the technology leaders in the company Salesforce.com, is here today to talk about the current status of women in the workforce and how we can improve our influence and presence in the workforce. Welcome, Rajani.
I'm very happy to be here. Thank you for having me on your show.
You've been such a successful, empowered woman in workforce. Tell us how you got started and what you do.
So at Salesforce, I have a broad charter in software engineering. I have accountability for the performance and quality and user assistance and documentation for all our product lines. Are you familiar with what Salesforce.com does?
Kind of, sort of. I'm so
CRM and
if IT is here, I like to be there. But I've used Salesforce.com and a lot of my friends work.
Okay, that's great to hear. We were the pioneer in terms of software as a service model in the computer industry, and it's been a great journey for me with Salesforce. I've been there in the last 11 years.
So tell us, Rajani, what do you think the landscape looks like today? What is the role of women in the global economy?
So it's a very interesting time, and it's amazing and unprecedented change in terms of the dynamics between men and women. I remember when my mother wanted to go to college, she wasn't allowed to do that. But today, if you see, for every 2 men graduating from college, there are 3 women graduating from college.
That's
so
amazing.
It's certainly changed a lot in the last 40 years. And it's no better time to be in the corporate world for women.
Women, I see, they're so powerful, empowered, great leaders. Why do you think we have such lesser and fewer numbers of women leaders?
So if you look at what's happening today, it's no longer a pipeline problem because you have a lot of women graduating. And also in terms of women getting into management, today the numbers are much higher. About 53% of the workforce are women in management. And then somehow there seems to be a cliff and, they are progressing in their career, but, for personal reasons, they might decide to take a break. And that's where you see the shift happening in terms of women are doing certainly better in terms of also the national average income is much higher for women now than men for the first time in history. But when they take the break,
that's good to know.
That's good to know.
I know.
But like I said, women do certainly very well when they start out. Young women are certainly earning much higher than men these days. But it is still very unfortunate that at the top of the game, if you look at 190 countries, head of state, there's only 19 or 9 that are women. And only about 2 to 3% of women are, part of a board, or less than 15% of women are at the C-level jobs. So certainly there is, it plateaus out. They get into management.
So they take the notorious glass ceiling then?
They do. I don't think they have anybody else to blame now. It's for personal reasons. They take a break, and you just need to figure out what will it take to get them back into the workforce.
But I have a question about women and being more successful than their counterpart in the house. How do men cope with that?
Before I answer that question directly, I certainly want to say that it's, what women decide to do, the expectations they set for themselves. It's certainly no longer kind of the glass ceiling out there. And if you want to, you can succeed. And it's us believing in ourselves and going out there.
Remember, they have 2 challenges. They have challenge at workforce and then they have a challenge at home. I mean, they're constantly struggling with how to keep their counterparts at home happy, not feel challenged or intimidated. Right. And you have challenge at work where you're competing with the other
so you can choose to think of it as a challenge, or there is an opportunity and a challenge. If you want to look at something and treat it as an opportunity, it's up to you to make that difference, because that's what I'm getting to say, that yes, it's certainly challenging, but I wouldn't say it's any less challenging today for men either, because if you look at the current economy and the recession, more men are losing their job than women because of the shift that's happened in terms of what is kind of the economy, global economy today.
40 years ago, recognizing the power of women to
correct. I mean, in terms of what the industry calls for, the top 15 professions today, it's no longer a manufacturing economy. It is more of a services economy, which calls for social skills and softer skills,
where women are stronger.
skills, then vocal and communication skills, vocabulary, everything, women are much stronger. So certainly the workforce opportunities are there. And if you choose to recognize your own potential and go after that and be deliberate about that, I think the opportunity exists today. And certainly the personality in terms of your typical man today, again, 30 years ago, whenever I was growing up, the symbol of the perfect man used to be the Marlboro man, the famous
no longer here,
ad.
especially in California.
But that's changed a lot, right?
Yeah.
So today it's up to us to make our partner an equal partner in successes as well as failures. And I think also marriage is
there's a lot really of good to know, because I think most men have to really exercise that.
And I know, but you know what, Rajani, I know you're also an avid photographer, and we are going to show some of her beautiful photos next. But thank you so much for coming on the show. We stand at the cusp of a paradigm shift in the perception of women in the workforce. It's time to seize control of how the world sees us. But for right now, it's time for a short break, but we'll be right back with more.